Good afternoon and welcome to the OOH-RAH Report. And today we are talking about Smackdown. First of all, Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2021. And the first Smackdown of the year opens up, surprisingly enough, with Roman Reigns. I say that acting like as if I'm surprised, but to be 100% honest, I really am not. You know, that's the best thing on Smackdown right now, and it shows a lot in this episode. So the show opens up with Roman Reigns talking about how he has made Jey Uso into main event Jey Uso. And he's talking about how great he is and how he defeated Kevin Owens last week, the Christmas episode of SmackDown, where he beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title in a steel cage match after Jey Uso handcuffed Kevin Owens to the cage. Now, I like Roman Reigns' promo here. He's been so good on the microphone since coming back as a heel, and it has just been great. But, and then Kevin Owens comes out as usual, and, as you can see throughout this whole episode, is that everything becomes really predictable fairly easily. And to me, that's an issue. And you see Kevin Owens, he comes out and he's saying, like, oh, you beat me. Yeah, you beat me, but I'm still here. You can't get rid of me. So he leads on to say, I want Jey Uso in a match. 1-on-1 in tonight's main event. And once I saw him come out, I kind of figured that was going to happen again because you got Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens the last 2 weeks of the show. So that is now set up as your main event. The first actual match of the show is the brand new Intercontinental Champion Big E. He won it last week from Sami Zayn after beating him on the Christmas episode, giving everybody a really good feel-good moment on Christmas Day. And I love that Big E is Intercontinental Champion for the second time. I think he more than deserves it. And as much as I liked Sami Zayn's stick of being the cocky heel where he just runs away all the time, and I like that, I feel like this is a really good bit push for Big E. And I do think Sami Zayn will get the Intercontinental title back at some point, but I do like the direction that they're going with here. So Big E is having a match against King Corbin. And King Corbin comes out with the former Forgotten Sons, now the Knights of Corbin. Cool name, by the way, and I do like that Corbin finally has his own little posse here. Sami Zayn's on commentary for this match, and that match lasts about a solid 3 minutes before Sami Zayn runs in and costs Big E the match. So we get a disqualification, and then the dog pound ensues. Everybody jumps on Big E, and then they beat him up. And then, actually, surprisingly enough, Apollo Crews comes out, which I was really happy to see him because last week in the Lumberjack match on Christmas Day, Sami Zayn was trying to run away, and then Apollo Crews was the guy who kind of threw him back into Big E before Big E would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship. So I think that's a really good time to bring Apollo Crews back into the thing. I've been saying Apollo Creed, I'm thinking of the Rocky movies. But finally Apollo Crews is back, and he helps Big E, and they get a real big push. And then that leads into a tag team match. There was no reason to make this match a tag team match. I feel like you could have just ended it there. Had the backstage segment, which we get shortly after this, between Apollo Crews and Big E, and you would have been fine. But no, you have a tag team match. It is now Sami Zayn and King Corbin against Apollo Crews and Big E. This match, once again, it's a good match, but as we see throughout the night, that formula of a tag team match just being a plain old tag team match gets really stale really quick. And this was a quick and easy match. Sami Zayn actually starts to fool around and try to see if he can get the Knights of Corbin, not the Forgotten Sons, into helping him out as they helped Corbin out throughout the match. And then they just straight up leave him, which I find hilarious and just a really nice comeuppance for Sami Zayn. And throughout the match, then Apollo Crews gets the roll of victory and wins. And that's the end of that match. And then later on in the show, we do get the announcement that we are going to get next week on SmackDown Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm really actually happy for this match. I think Apollo Crews is going to be great, and as a first challenger for Big E, this is just going to be really fun to watch, and I think it should be a really good match. The next match up is the Riot Squad versus what they want you to believe will be Billie Kay and Tamina again, but it is actually Natalya and Tamina with Billie Kay in the corner. This match, once again, just like the 2 weeks ago when they had this match between Billie Kay and the Riot Squad is they've been kind of doing this where like Billie Kay really wants to beat the Riot Squad, but you had a tag team partner and you couldn't beat them, so why are you looking for one now? It's just confusing, and to be honest, it's really, really dumb. But you have this match, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Billie Kay helps the Riot Squad at the end of the match, and they get the win over Tamina and Natalia. Okay, I don't really see where this is going, and to be honest, it's really boring. And have two tag matches like that back to back with, especially with like similar-ish finishes, it just seems lazy. I know it's the New Year's Eve episode of New Year's Day episode of SmackDown, and you know a lot these two, this and the Christmas episode are kind of like non-canon in WWE, but it just frustrates me that you have this match, and then immediately after that, you get another segment with another tag team, and it's the Street Profits. But before we get that, we actually do see a little clip from backstage, which made me really happy, and that's Sonya Deville returning. She doesn't say anything. She's just walking down the hallway, and everybody's looking at her. This makes me really happy to see her finally come back. I knew she wasn't going to be, fired from WWE forever. No one stays fired in WWE forever. It just doesn't happen. But with the circumstances regarding, the outside stuff that's been going on with her, I'm really happy to see that she's finally back, and I really do hope that she's used properly and kind of gets that push that she didn't get after her split up with Mandy Rose earlier. Well, I was going to say earlier this year, but last year in 2020 after WrestleMania. So after that, we have the Street Profits. They are thanking God, and thank God it's another tag team, not another tag team match, but it's a celebration. It's a 2020 Set 1 celebration. The predictions for the year. They have all the fun stuff. They make a few clever jokes at the expense of Ziggler and Roode, and then Ziggler and Roode appeared. Once again, you can see this coming from a mile away. I'm not expecting to be blown away and be shocked by every booking decision that they come up with on a weekly basis, but I don't want to telegraph it from right when the segment starts. Like, I want you to kind of, lead me on. I was entertained by the segment entirely, but I didn't want it to just be like I knew what was going to happen. I kind of wanted to be a little bit surprised. And also, on a side note, that the new name for Roodes and Ziggler is just bad. I did not like the new name for them at all, and I really hope they don't stick with it. I hope it's a one night thing. It's like the I can't even remember it. It was just, and the thing is, it was just so bad that I'm just not remembering. It was like the Raw Dogs or something really, really dumb like that. Like, it took about 2 seconds, and you could just, it's like one of those create a character names in the 2K games. Like, it's there. It's just there, and you don't want to even use it because it's so bad. So after that night, they kind of challenge in a backstage segment right after they attack the Street Profits. They challenge them to a tag team championship match, which we'll probably get at the Royal Rumble. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, you ready for another tag team match? Because I'm not. So you have your final regular match for the night before the main event is Otis and Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah, no, this match had no necessary reason to happen besides reminding you, hey, all 4 of these guys are going to be in the Royal Rumble. Go watch the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is one of those pay-per-views that I don't think you really need to push that hard, because it's just the idea of the Royal Rumble and the Royal Rumble matches is something that you will get butts in seats. You'll get people to buy the pay-per-view, and to have this is just another really bad tag team match, and that's the end of the tag team matches. You have 4 tag team matches plus a tag team, a segment featuring tag teams on this show. It's lazy. It is so lazy. And I completely forgot to even mention you had the women's champion Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair take on Carmella and Bayley, because you know what? It just kind of bundled together at this point. And it's really disappointing. I'll get to that when I cover the whole, just talk about the whole show as a whole. But it was so lazy. And you had your main event for the evening, Kevin Owens and Jey Uso. They both come out. It's a fight from the get-go. And surprisingly, the match ends pretty quickly. It's a few minutes in, and then Owens just hits a stunner out of nowhere. And you get that's their finish to the match. And then the beatdown commences. First, you get Kevin Owens handcuffing Jey Uso to the ropes and just starts wailing on him. And this was just enjoyable to watch, because it's a good storytelling moment where you just see Owens, after all these weeks of just getting beat down by Roman Reigns and his family, that you finally just get him to just beat up on him. it does eventually end. They make their way up to the stage area, and Roman finally shows up. They actually get to fight on the Thunderdome for a little while, which I found pretty interesting because you never really, like, we've seen the Thunderdome, and you've seen a lot of it now, especially now they have it at Tropicana Field and it's a lot bigger. But you never really got to see, like, behind those screens, and you actually got to see behind that where, you know, Roman ended up putting Owens through a pile of tables on the ground, and, you know, that was it. And I think, to be honest, that was a really strong way to end the show. So overall, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. SmackDown sucked. And it's for a lack of trying, I think. You know, because the start of the show and the end of the show were really solid. You know, this whole thing with Owens and Reigns, and you can already tell they're pushing this to the Royal Rumble, and I'm okay with it because the storytelling, you care about the people involved and you want to see them succeed. But everything else on the show was just so bad. Like, everything it's forgettable. It's forgettable television. Like, you're not making me want to tune in for next week's show. I'll still tune in for next week's show, but it just doesn't, you know, you have all these tag team matches. You tell me you couldn't put one singles match in there? You know, spice them up a little bit. Throw something else in there. These are just plain old tag team matches. Yeah, the story, like, some of the characters in them are good. Like, you know, Sasha taking on Carmella and Bayley, and then Bianca Belair, who you know is going to turn. One of them is going to turn on each other, and that's going to be your feud for Mania, which I'm okay with. But once again, I don't, like, come on, throw us a bone here. Get us a little bit energetic or something. You know, you are heading towards the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I know it's the New Year's Eve episode, but come on. So overall, SmackDown for this week, if you didn't see it, you can skip it. You didn't miss much. And I just really hope that over the course of the next few weeks, we really start to get just good quality television. You are headed towards the road to WrestleMania. Give us something to watch. Give us some twists and turns. That's what we want to see. That's what I want to see. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And I will see you all next time.